I'm wondering if what you would do tonight if you were president in light of the terrorism plot that was thwarted today, but apparently leads to the top of the Iranian government. What would you do, sir?
I would have done something earlier such that it probably would have encouraged them not to do something like this, Greta, and that is one of the great capabilities that we have is our ballistic missile defense system that could be upgraded, and we could place these Aegis ballistic missile defense systems in international water in that part of the world. The only thing that Iran understands is our military capability, but unfortunately, they believe that they could do something like they did today and that this nation is not going to react, because they see this president as a weak president. They would not see me as a weak president, and I would send some strong signals to let them know that we would be prepared to take whatever actions we needed to take.
All right. Under your theory, you headed off at the pass so that they wouldn't do that. But assume under my hypothetical, which actually the situation today, where it has now actually happened, where at least we're being told by the Obama administration that high up in the Iranian government, they now have at least we're told that they tried to they've hatched a plot to have an assassination here on our soil. We've got a Democratic Congressman Ruppersberger coming out pretty tough. Senator Mark Kirk also pretty tough. And you've got the situation where Iran is hungry for nuclear weapons. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, she wants to ratchet up the sanctions, but what do we do? You're the president, and this is, for better or for worse, a potential crisis.
Like I said, I'm all for the sanctions, but that alone not going to do it. We have got to show them our capability, and one of the capabilities that this president is not maximizing is the use of these ballistic missile Aegis warships that we have. We have a great number of them, and we're not flexing our muscle. The biggest problem, Greta, is that Iran and a lot of other countries see this president as a weak president. This is why they continue to challenge us, and I think because they see him as a weak president, it's why they basically have their fingerprints on this whole plot that thankfully was broken up today.
Well, I believe strategically we have to be for the replacement of the Iranian regime. It is a dangerous dictatorship. It is deeply committed to the destruction of Israel. It's deeply committed to driving us out of the Middle East. It proves again and again its contempt for the United States. The fact that they felt they could plan an assassination attempt in the United States is a sign of how much contempt they have for the Obama administration. So I think strategically, beyond any one incident, we ought to have a policy, much as Reagan had with the Soviet Union, of using every kind of nonviolent method that we have to undermine and replace the dictatorship, because it will never be safe. We will never live in a safe world as long as the Iranian dictatorship is actively trying to get nuclear weapons and actively plotting to kill people in the United States. Look, sanctions is a tiny step in the right direction. We should be actively funding every dissident group in Iran. We should be actively providing them with communications mechanisms. All you have to do is go back to the Reagan years. As you know, Clifton and I did a movie called 9 Days That Changed the World about Pope John Paul II's impact in Poland on undermining the whole Soviet Empire. We did a movie on Reagan called Rendezvous with Destiny that shows what he did. You look at what Reagan, Thatcher, and Pope John Paul II were doing. They were bringing pressure to bear from every angle. Psychological pressure, information pressure, economic pressure, helping dissidents organize, providing them resources, developing, for example, a radio-free Iran, a television-free Iran, an internet-free Iran. There are lots of things we could do to destabilize and ultimately replace this dictatorship. And it's a mistake for us to try to find a way to deal with them as Obama has, because they're in the end not going to be reconcilable. They are our mortal enemies.
Is the Soviet Union, though, a different sort of foe in the sense that they were sealed more from the world, and there was more sort of unity against them? I mean, now with the internet, we've got so many countries that are trading with Syria, and there's so much, almost dirty dealing, and there's so much leaking in terms of commerce and sanctions. Is it even possible to sort of employ that Reagan-esque approach to Iran and have it be effective?
Sure. Well, it's very possible both in Iran and Syria to approach it, because in both cases you have a very narrow dictatorship sitting on top of an amazing number of really unhappy people. In Syria, you have a basically Alawite dictatorship, a small tribal dictatorship of about 6% of the country. The other 94% doesn't like them, wants to get rid of them. With adequate leadership, Assad would be gone. In the case of Iran, you have a dictatorship in a country which is only 51% Farsi speaking. 49% of the country speaks languages other than Farsi, which is Persian. And so you really have a lot of potential. Younger Iranians, by every poll we've ever seen, overwhelmingly hate the government. So if you had an intelligent, clever approach to these things, you should be able to organize a replacement movement, build in effect. Well, you know, why can't you have an Iranian summer? I've been talking about this Arab Spring talk. We ought to have a Cuban Spring, a Venezuelan Spring, a North Korean Spring, and an Iranian Spring. There's no reason, and for that matter, we should finish the job in Syria using nonviolent techniques to maximize the opposition's opportunities.